Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Well, I thought I'd give you a brief update on what's been going on. If you haven't caught up to the channel in a while, just note that things are changing here at the channel, and I'll be essentially sort of not shutting it down completely, but very much stepping back because I will be selling my collection. I've been working on doing that for quite a while now, several weeks anyway. And if you're interested in anything, please check the available online spreadsheet that's attached to this video. That's the only place I can keep updating ongoing to let you know what's available for sale and for how much. I can't do that in a video format because I can't update it as time goes on. So I'm going to, in this video, walk you around the room and let you see some things that are still available. Which is most things. There's a lot to go through and it takes a lot of time. So a lot has been sold, but there is more to sell than there has been sold. It's hundreds of units, so it's going to take some time. I have shipped quite a few things. Shipping, I want to point out again, is very challenging. If you have interest in a receiver or something, an amp that's very heavy, I want to point out that it is very hard to ship those things. I have shipped a couple already that made it there just fine, but I would still recommend taking a look at U-Ship or coming to get it. Reminder, every single unit in here I picked up myself and brought it here. So nothing in here has ever been shipped to me. And so I would recommend doing that, you know, if you possibly can. If you're only interested in a few units, you know, plan ahead. If it's not available for sale all at the same time, you know, reach out, say, listen, I'm interested in this unit, and then I might be interested in some others, and you know, maybe I can help tie those together and make it one trip for you, make it worth your trip, make it worth your while for the trip anyway. Let's see what else. At the end of the video, so as a collector, one of the things I've always done, and it started with my era when I was collecting comic books, and that's giving a rating of condition for each and every item. And we do that in collecting so we know how to value it. Otherwise, you know, it doesn't make any real sense. So in comic books and coins, there's some services out there where you can send your item to, and they will rank it based on condition, based on some very specific criteria. They can go through the book. They very much look at the edge. The front of the comic book, by the way, the cover is the most important key to condition. And in the same way, all audio gear is the same thing. The faceplate and the outer cover of it make the biggest impact to condition. Functional parts are very important, but condition is the biggest factor in pricing anything, really. That goes for coins, it goes for comic books, and it goes for audio gear. After that, then it comes, you know, functional condition. So in a comic book, are there anything inside? Is it missing any pages? Are any of the pages bent? Are they torn? Those sorts of things. And that becomes an issue in audio gear as well. And so there's a ranking. And so I have over time, and it's not dissimilar to others that are out there. It's pretty much common sense, but I have 11 different categories that I've always sort of, in my own documentation of my inventory, I sort of put a ranking there of where does it rank on condition. And so I don't think I've ever shared that. And so I thought I would put that here for your reference as well. Maybe something you want to utilize for your own collection. So I'll walk through that at the end. So now what I'll do is I'll get behind the camera, walk you around the room on what's available still and some things that have been sold just for your own reference. But again, the online spreadsheet is the system of record for anything that is still available or anything that has been sold. And again, if there's something that you're interested in that is not on the list, you can send me a note. I don't mind. There are quite a lot of emails coming through, but I try to get to them as I can. And I will re-emphasize coming here with money is the best way to sort of get some things if you want. You have to coordinate the timing with that, of course. I'm not a store. But if you're wanting to come and take a visit and you already have something in mind that I have priced and then you want to add to it, you know, you can inquire about that. If I'm ready, I'll let you know. And some things may not be ready, but if you have several items that might move it up the list of priority for me to get to it. So feel free to reach out. Can't make an exact promise. I have gone back and forth with some folks who have been looking for a few things and trying to get everything done, but it does take a bit of time. Again, it's just me here. I'm not a store. So it takes a bit of time. So with that, I'll get behind the camera and let's walk around and see what's available still. All right, well, I'm going to start off with my stereo niche sign because someone inquired about that. That's not for sale. That's going to go with me no matter where I go and be a part of history, I guess. So this is my main side. This has been my reference side of the room. And so it's been bought out pretty much. Everything has been taken out and I'm going to replace it with some other gear. This is the big Marantz 2500. I just went through. This one was in the box, the original box in the back. And I'm going to post some additional video here. I did want to say a few more words about this. I am still in awe of the condition of this unit. It is, I would have to say, the most pristine unit as far as condition and functional condition. I got it up and went through its paces with it, and I'm still in shock a bit at how sort of new it feels. Every button, every knob worked flawlessly, and there were 0 scratches, which is kind of unusual. Even an item that's in great condition in the box, just due to age, tends to have some sort of scratchiness here and there. And I didn't get that with this. I don't know if this had any restoration. It doesn't appear to be. It does appear to be all original to me, but it was certainly put away in the box with great care, and you can see that in the video. So this might be the best conditioned vintage item I may have or have ever had in my collection. So still in awe of this particular unit. It is pending sale, by the way. Someone is a fan of the show has actually picked this one up. So this is a stellar unit by any means. About as close to, I think, new old stock as you can get without being that, which I'll go over those ratings a bit later. So I am going to be putting some other gear in back over here again. I do have some reference pieces I'll put over here. I haven't gotten to the MC 75s yet. These were recapped, by the way, several years ago, but they're ready. I should be getting to them soon. I should have done it already. The awesome history of the Altec Big Reds. These are still available. I thought they were sold, but then the buyer didn't follow through. So these are still available. If you haven't seen the history of these, check out the video. These came from the recording studios of CBS Sony up in New York City and were used in mastering quite a number of albums, you know, from the artists of the 70s. And so quite an iconic set of speakers, all original with a history all their own. So very cool. Let's see, over here is another stellar piece in my collection. This one is the Sansui AU 20000. Has the original box in excellent shape, has the materials as well to go with it, but very, very cool. You know, one of the most highly regarded pieces from Sansui, the professional line. This was the highest, the largest piece, top of the line in that series, and just does everything. It's an incredible unit. Moving on to some other stellar units. This is probably the other unit in my collection that's one of the most pristine. I have the original box for this one too, and the person that had this, I do know more history about this set. They bought every single piece of the Elite line back then, and this was around the era of the CD. So I don't think the guy ever used this thing. If he did, it was so little that he didn't leave any marks on it. However, like most I would expect, so these cassette decks have belts in them, and just sheer age deteriorates the belts, and so I'm waiting on the belt kit for this to get it installed. Without the belt kit, it won't work properly. So, but other than that, it is literally pristine. Same thing with these are the top of the line Nakamichi decks. This was the first top of the line from the 1980 to 82. This is the 1000 ZXL. the owner that bought these actually bought two of them at the same time. One was for play, the other one was for dubbing tapes. So they really had very little use over their years, and it's noticeable in the fact that there's just hardly any blemishes anywhere on either of the units. So very low hours for an item that, in this case, I did not have the original boxes, but the owners took very good care of their gear in this case, and it's noticeable in the condition. All right, let's move around a little bit. All right, coming over back on this side, gone through quite a bit, but I haven't finished. This is the box that the Marantz 2500 is going to go back into today and will be stored away. This is a Krell amp. I may be pairing this with a set of Apogee speakers. I still need to finalize what will go with that. When I get the Apogees out, I'll make a determination. I have several Krell amps. I have several monoblock sets of Krell amps. I'm not sure which ones will be paired with it or not. Still pending. You can see one of the Nakamichi Dragons there. That one is pending sale as well as the other NAC pieces up here as well. I have several NAC decks, and those are pending sale. Haven't gone through the, well, I've gone through some of these already because I had some of these recapped, but I need to go through most of them and get pricing for them and put them on the spreadsheet. On this side, that's my other 2500 Marantz there. That one is pending sale, not sold yet, but still pending. It's been pending for a little while, so if it doesn't get confirmed soon, it may be back available for sale. Not sure yet. This is a Mac 2105. It had the multi-cap redone, and then also the main caps redone as well. So this one, the main two large caps have been redone, as well as the multi-cap. So that one's running extremely well. This is a Yamaha 1040, that's on the list. This is one of the 2275s, that's on the list. 2235, I've got to get this one back in a case, and then that will be on the list, as well as the 2265. I just added the 4430 here. Nice condition, but it does have some functional issues with that. I denoted on there. I'm about to get this little Marantz here, this, what is it, 4040. Here's an interesting thing. So when you're looking at reviewing things and valuing them on condition, so the faceplate on this is in very good condition. The cabinet, you know, it looks like, from this picture anyway, the way you're looking at it, it looks like this is a huge scratch, but actually that is some kind of, it's cardboard or some kind of paper. There was something stored on it for a while, and when they took it off, it left a little bit of residue, but it looks like a huge scratch. I'm going to try and delicately remove that if I can and just see what it is underneath. But when you're rating something, the cabinet itself is separate from the unit, because this can certainly be taken separately and refinished and really brought back to new. You can see here that the vent on the back is very pristine, so it's actually in pretty good shape physically, but it does have some marks on it. And because this is a wood veneer, that can be refinished. Not the same for a metal cabinet, you know, on the unit itself, which I'll be taking this out and taking a quick look at that, just to make sure it's in, you know, all around physical condition. Let's see, moving down. So I've not gone through all of the Mac units yet. I have gone through several. I posted the C28 here. This one came from the same owner as the other 2105, which is here. Both of these units, they are in excellent condition. The owner was quite particular about his gear, I'll tell you that. The cabinets are in excellent condition. This unit also happens to have the original box. Quite unusual. These things are extremely heavy. If you've never picked up a McIntosh amp, prepare yourself for a sort of a back-breaking experience. They're smaller than a lot of large receivers, but they are extremely heavy. The transformers in them are huge, and they feel it. This one has had the multi-cap replaced. Haven't done the main caps yet, but it is an excellent working condition. It works fantastic. Still going through some of these. I do have the MR80 receiver posted. That one is there, and still working on some others. The MC60s, I am working on my tech. These are not recapped yet, but that's what I'm working with them on timing for that, to get those recapped. These came from the original owner from 1950s, and they're in great physical shape, but they do need to be recapped, so I'm working on that. I'm about to drag down this setup here from Sansui. Very cool pieces. I do have the boxes for every single unit here as well. That's the other Nakamichi as well that went with the one I showed you earlier. This Sansui 8. This unit I got from the original owner, has the box and every piece of material that came with it, from the manual to the schematic to, they have a, back then they used to give you this large sort of laminated sheet, I don't know what you call it, to show you how to hook it up. And everything, he kept everything with it, except, and I only figured this out recently because I actually never tried to plug it in, but the cord was not the original. It has a cord that disconnects from the unit. It's kind of a unique cord. They used to be popular back in the 60s, but those cords are not anymore. And so I did find a replacement. It works just fine, but that's the only thing that it doesn't have that's original to the whole setup there. But everything else is there and it's in great shape. I posted this unit. Now this unit, this came with the system that I bought with the Nakamichis and with the Wilson Whams. These units, the owner took great care. This unit is about the most pristine unit I have. It ranks up there with units that I have the box for. And the reason I mention it is because I don't have the box, but it is pristine otherwise, which is quite interesting for a system that didn't have the boxes. One of my close to my heart favorites. This is my 9090. I've had since, the very early days of collecting. It's in great shape. Haven't posted it yet because I just can't. I still have quite a bit of an emotional attachment to this unit. The DB 9090 DB is out there. This is the Sansui 719, also in fantastic shape, physical condition. Have the original box for this as well. And I got this from the original owner. Yamaha CA 2010. See, the knob's not on there. Yeah, somebody along the way, somebody split the shaft here, and I'm not sure how you managed to do that, but somebody managed to split the shaft, and so I've got to come up with a way of reattaching this knob. Otherwise, it does have some visible scratches on the cabinet. Works great. I love the look of these because they look very similar to the new gear coming out from Yamaha, so pretty timeless look on these. I've posted the other professional gear from Sansui. These have some noticeable scratches. They do not have boxes and things, and you can tell they've lived a life. They're working fine, but they do have some noticeable wear. The Sansui QRX 9001, a absolute beast of a receiver, and in fantastic shape. Does need some restoration. It has some known issues for them. Comes on, it does work. It's not that it doesn't work, but there are some static issues that are not resolvable until you get some of these cold solder joint issues resolved. So we'll need some work from a tech to get that to get those things worked out. But very known, well-known issue. It's not something that's I don't think a tech that knows what they're doing couldn't get it resolved fairly quickly. The separates down here from Sansui are on there. I have yet to go through that one. Let's see, what do I have over here? Most of these are sold. Let's see, this turntable is sold. That Mac piece is sold. I've got the Kenwood here posted. And I've got some Ampzilla stuff down here. I've got to get that posted here as a little turntable Kenny from Kenwood there, and I just posted the 770 from Sansui, and the SAE amps I'm trying to get to as well. And there's some other small units here, a timer and a reverb. Got some other units over here I've still got to get out. I need to go through this turntable, another SAE amp, and some Crown gear. All right, so that was a brief look around my showroom here on what I have in here. Kind of hard to show you anything that's changed. You can't tell much that's changed in the back yet because things are in disarray back there a bit. So what I wanted to do now is go through my ratings list and break that down for you and show you how I rank things as far as condition, which translates into pricing. Now, it's not an exact science. It's not so easy to say, you know, this is the rating, this is the price. And so the challenge is on units where there are very few of them out there. I'll say it's easier to price things like a Sansui 9090, where there are lots of examples out there that have sold, and you can sort of get an idea on valuation because there are a lot of comparables out there. In the same way that you price a house, you take comparables on what's been sold in the area for a house of similar size, similar condition, etc., and how many acres of land or how size is the lot, those kind of things. But when it comes to other things, you do it similarly, and that's the same thing for vintage audio. When it comes to extremely rare, though, it's much more challenging. You have to base it on a few factors that are kind of unusual. When it's not comparables out there, you kind of have to start with where does it rank, or maybe where did it rank when it was sold? Was it considered high end when it was sold, or was it not? So one of those examples I'll mention is something like some of the lower end brands like Craig or Sound Design. You may have an excellent unit and, unfortunately, they were low end when they were sold. They were not considered high end, expensive pieces of gear when they were sold because that's not the market they were going after. Consequently, a lot of those units don't exist today because they weren't probably, treated as heirloom pieces. They knew they weren't valuable then, so therefore they don't exist now because, they broke or were treated poorly and made their way to the landfill. So you don't see a lot of them. So I wouldn't call them rare because that you can't find many. I don't call them rare because they just don't exist. There were lots of them sold. What is rare is a unit that only sold a few units to begin with. The Marantz 2500, for example, I believe it sold around 1,100 units in total, and that was it. Not really a lot of them out there. And so they were top of the line, they were expensive. As things got more expensive, fewer and fewer units were sold. There's also the extremely rare, like the Wilson Wham set I have. Only 36 pair were ever made. And so they're an extreme rare item. And for that, I can't find any comparables. I have to go on other factors to find out pricing for those. And I'm still, believe me, trying to figure that out. And I have reached out to Wilson as well. But it is a difference of trying to find something very, very rare versus something that's more common, yet you have a lot of information. Like a Pioneer SX 780, a Sansui 9090, those are much easier to do than something that is extremely rare. The other factor that comes in, also the same thing for this one, is when there are so few units that are in the same condition as the one you have. I've not seen one that is in this condition with all the materials that go with it, which continues to push it up in value. Therefore, it's hard to say, but you do have some information, and you try to pull as much of that together so that you can come up with, an educated valuation. And so that's what I'm trying to do with each one of these. Again, if you come to me and say, hey, listen, I like these 3, 4, 5 units, that speaks volumes as well. And I'll certainly work with you on pricing. But when it comes to individual pieces, that's sort of the process that you want to go through. So with that, let me walk through my ranking of condition list and show you how I do it, how I think about it, and maybe this is something you can apply to your own collection. So let's look at the condition ratings. So I was going to start with the bottom on the very low end, and then we'll work our way up to the top and most valuable sort of condition items here. So starting at the bottom, it's junk. It's an item that was heavily damaged and you have rust on it, and it's really just, hopefully you can get some parts. Believe it or not, I have actual units in my back room that I've bought that have been part of a larger group lot, but they were stored outside. They got rained on, they had rust, all sorts of things. But I was still able to pull a part or two off of it and get something out of it rather than just throwing the whole thing in the dump. So I try to get at least anything off of it that I can. Well, that's junk status. Up from there, it's a very poor unit. It's got heavy damage. It has lost some knobs. It has physical damage, such as cracks and things like that, or heavy dents, and it isn't working. So even a unit like that has parts. If it's been stored at least inside, you can probably get a part or two off of it and get something out of it before it's condemned to the landfill and can be used on other units that keep those units going. So that's always the intention here, is to try to get some usable parts off of them before you actually condemn them to the landfill, which is always the last resort, by the way. Next up is poor or parts unit. It's damaged. It's got nicotine. If you guys aren't too young to remember the days of when it seemed like everybody was smoking, nicotine is the residue that from years of smoking inside. It sticks to the knobs and the face plates, turns them yellow, sticky color. I've got some old pictures of some units that you thought they had a gold patina on them until you cleaned them and realized, no, it wasn't intended to be gold at all. And that's nicotine. And it also imparts a smell, the nicotine smell, which is, it can be very disruptive. It's not nice at all, and it's very problematic. But it does turn on, and it may just turn on, and that's about it. Has significant functional issues, but at least it does power on. And that's a poor or parts unit. And this is, very borderline here between very poor and average poor. So it's a bit of a judgment call. Now the average poor, it's got damage, it's got some lost knobs, but it's a little better than, the poor parts. And it does work, but it still has some issues. I would say that, let's say that the radio's working, but there's issues with the phono, so maybe part of the unit's working, part of it isn't. So it's a little bit of a personal differentiation between what you want to do between levels 3 and 4, and that's a bit of a judgment call. Now, 4 and below are the categories that I've always used to determine, am I going to try and do some restoration, if at all, or is it strictly a parts unit? Most everything in this level down is almost always a parts unit, to be honest with you. It just had too much damage and had too many issues to try and consider bringing it back. 5 and up is keep it in service, sell it either as it is, but, and keep it going, at least, try to keep it in operation. So average is, has usual wear marks, just things you would expect over years of actual use. They may have some good scratches on them and, wear marks and stains, not stains, but residue on the knobs because, that volume knob gets used the most. And, it's going to need some work. Now, a lot of these in this condition can be brought back to look pristine. I've had some units that were just horrible looking, but you do a lot of elbow grease and, and cleaning, and it's amazing how good some of these units can come back. But you have to still, initially, price it as being average in that current condition. So things like this, it's again personal, but you have to go up close and check things out. If they're heavy scratches, though, not a whole lot you can do there unless it's like on top of the base plate, or you can do some, light sanding and things like that, where you might be able to restore it. But on the faceplate itself, where the knobs go, it's pretty impossible to remove things like that. I have a couple with things like, social security numbers etched into the front of the faceplate. Just kills me, but not any way to really get those out. In functional conditions, they're working, but they need some kind of servicing. And again, that might be not just scratchy knobs, but it might mean that they might need a transistor replaced on a board, things like that. But it definitely doesn't need a whole restoration to get it back into operation. Next up is better, and this is fewer scratches. It looks like it's been fairly well maintained, but it's got slight little issues here and there, but it's better than average. Still needs, a little bit of a tech workup to get it functional again completely without, any scratchiness, things like that. But it's a little bit better than average. Then I've got good. This means it's essentially all working. There might be some, minor issues. Minor issues to me are the pots need cleaning, that type of thing. But by and large, it really works for the most part. There's very few dents or small scratches, and if there are, they're not right on the faceplate, not in a very obvious place, but a little bit of issues here and there. Very good is it's all working, and there's no significant scratches, no significant chips or dents. Small one here and there. Excellent, all working. Maybe it had partial restoration, but it's all working, and it's very close to mint, but you got a minor issue on like one little place here where a little scratch happened, but overall excellent shape. Mint, that speaks for itself. It's all working. There isn't really any significant noticeable damage anywhere, no major or even minor scratches. But in addition to that, and this is where it becomes a little borderline, for me as a collector, having the original boxes and materials bumps it up. I could argue that a unit that might, if it didn't have the boxes and everything, is really in excellent condition, but I call it mint because it has everything with it. And that's, a little bit of again, it's a bit of a judgment call, but having all of the materials with it included is a big step up for just a unit that is in excellent condition, but it doesn't have all the original material. So as a collector, a collectible item, you have to take those things into consideration. So a box and all the materials throws a lot of extra value toward a collectible item to make it up a higher level than one that's in the same actual physical condition. And then of course, 11, which is sort of off the charts, new old stock. And new old stock is so rare that it's almost impossible to say, what does this mean as far as valuation? I've seen some crazy numbers when it comes to a very collectible item. Let's just go like a Pioneer SX 1980. The sky's the limit. It's almost impossible to say where could the price go if it's actual new old stock. Where could the price go for a collector that really wants to have the only brand new item never opened before? And I want to emphasize never opened because NOS is thrown around a lot on eBay and other places when it doesn't mean it's in pristine condition put back in the box. New old stock means new. It's new. It's never, that tape has never been cut on the box. And it's never seen the light of day, essentially. That is new old stock, and it's the only definition of new old stock. All right, well, that was a brief update on what's been going on around here and what's been selling, what's available still. So I hope you found that of value. And the condition ratings. I know a lot of folks may or may not use that when they're collecting, but I find it very valuable as far as figuring out how to price things, how to value and price and rate your own collection. And I would recommend sort of keeping that list ongoing with your collection in a spreadsheet. And just so you know where things are, if you need to go back and reference something or you're looking to buy something, it's a quick reference of your own to go back and price things. Now, finding prices, unless you're doing this, ongoing, it's tough for especially items that don't sell a lot. So when you are looking at more rare items, it's beneficial to go and check occasionally to see what's sold because they may not come up very often. When they do, document what they're selling for your own historical information, because after 90 days, eBay doesn't share that information. I think it's 90 days, might be 6 months, but it's not out there ongoing and without buying the information. I think WorthPoint is a service you can pay for and get some prior sales for back to many years. I don't know if there's a limit on the time frame, but it does allow you to go back, but there's a cost to doing that. And I don't know if all the information is there or not. So you might benefit from capturing some sales when you can. That's on and off eBay. I've seen and reached out to people who have sold things on Craigslist, on US Audio Mart, on other sites, just to capture what did you sell it for, so I have some kind of basis to come up with a valuation. Because it isn't always, just go pull up recent sales on eBay. It's not that easy, especially when you become a collector of more rare items, like a lot of things in my collection. Anyway, hope that was beneficial for you guys. Thanks so much for watching. Again, if you got any questions on anything, feel free to reach out. We'll see you soon.